Hello, friends. This is Martin speaking. Please watch this episode to the end. In this episode, we will discuss three very important topics. Pentagon's ambitious plan, a swarm of AI drones to tackle China. Biden's Vietnam voyage, the latest move in the Great China chess game. A new world order emerges amidst U.S.-China rivalry's shadow. Topic number 1. The Pentagon is exploring the potential development of an AI-driven fleet of drones and autonomous systems as a means to counter the threats posed by China. While emphasizing that the U.S. is not actively seeking war, officials argue that urgency is required to keep up with China's rapid advancements in AI technology. Kathleen Hicks, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, explained that the department plans to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into the project, with the aim of deploying thousands of systems across various domains within 2 years. China has heavily invested in AI research and development, creating its own platforms and models for military use. Its rapid expansion and military buildup have led many military officials to view China as the top challenger to the U.S. In a recent interview, Representative Michael McCall likened the competition over AI systems to the space race, emphasizing the need for the U.S. to emerge as the leader in order to maintain its global influence. The acquisition of AI-related chips and improving the capability to develop AI platforms have become crucial factors in this competition. The U.S. has prohibited investment in Chinese semiconductors and chips due to security concerns, while China has identified U.S. chips from Micron as a security risk. However, chip dominance is just one aspect of the wider battle for AI supremacy, for which the Pentagon believes an AI fleet could play a significant role. The proposed autonomous systems would primarily focus on navigation and targeting, utilizing computer vision as a key technology. Israel has already introduced a modified aircraft capable of tracking multiple targets over long distances, even in adverse weather conditions. The U.S. aims to develop self-piloting ships and crewless aircraft, and has also envisioned AI drones flying alongside human pilots to enhance combat capabilities. Hicks acknowledged the need for dynamic innovation given the rapidly evolving threat landscape. While the concept of drone swarms was not directly addressed, China has demonstrated efforts to develop such technology for operational purposes. Drone swarms involve multiple drones controlled autonomously by a single system. Uncertainties surrounding the development of the AI fleet primarily revolve around funding, with some contractors expressing concerns over the proposed level of investment. Similar criticisms were voiced when the UK announced its allocation of funds for semiconductors and processors to keep pace with the US and China. The Pentagon's budget request includes approximately $1.8 billion for AI research and development, but specifics about the allocation of funds to individual projects are lacking. At the time of writing, the Pentagon had not responded to requests for comments. Now I invite you to share your thoughts and opinions on this topic in the comments section. Topic number 2. Biden's Vietnam voyage, the latest move in the Great China chess game. President Joe Biden's upcoming visit to Vietnam carries significant implications for American efforts to counterbalance China. The United States and Vietnam, both recognizing the need to prevent Chinese dominance in the region, have grown closer as partners in recent years. This visit is expected to elevate the bilateral relationship to the highest level by designating Vietnam as a comprehensive strategic partner. By achieving this, the United States demonstrates its ability to garner support from important countries in the region, even from Vietnam, despite its Communist Party rule and purported proximity to China. China has been asserting its influence in Southeast Asia, particularly in countries like Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. The strengthened U.S.-Vietnam relationship helps in rebalancing the regional power dynamics to some extent. Vietnam aims to benefit from its economic ties with China, while also reducing its vulnerability to its larger neighbor. The country holds significant importance for the United States, both in economic and strategic terms. In terms of trade, Vietnam has emerged as the 7th largest trading partner for the United States, surpassing Britain last year as per the Census Bureau. The United States, in turn, holds a significant share as Vietnam's largest export market. Additionally, Vietnam's rapid economic growth has positioned it as a potential global semiconductor hub and a flourishing electric vehicle market. In light of the U.S.-China trade war, Vietnamese EV maker VinFast has seen its valuation skyrocket, making it one of the world's most valuable car companies. This growth has also attracted increasing investments, particularly from American companies seeking to diversify their manufacturing operations away from China. Furthermore, Vietnam presents itself as a potential market for the United States weapons and military equipment, offering alternatives to its reliance on Russian suppliers. Strategically, Vietnam plays a crucial role in the United States' efforts to counter China's expansionist claims in the resource-rich South China Sea. By visiting Vietnam and strengthening ties, President Biden sends a clear signal to Beijing and puts pressure on China. This move showcases the Biden administration's grasp of the dynamics at play and its intentional efforts to improve relations with countries to balance its approach towards China. Nevertheless, it is important to note that the visit to Vietnam should not solely be seen through the prism of countering China. Vietnam and the United States share significant mutual interests in areas like trade, investment, technology, and climate change mitigation. While China's role is intertwined with these interests, there are broader aspects to the evolving partnership between Vietnam and the United States. It is worth mentioning that neither Hanoi nor Washington is expected to mention China in the context of their upgraded relationship. Vietnam desires to maintain a balanced relationship with both China and the United States, and any explicit alignment with one could jeopardize its diplomatic maneuvering. China, on its part, cautions against using bilateral relationships between the United States and individual countries in Asia to target a third party, emphasizing the need for adherence to international norms governing relations and regional stability. Some advocate groups have urged President Biden to address Vietnam's human rights violations during his visit. While the issue of human rights has taken a backseat amidst the competing interests of countering China and Russia, it continues to be a concern. Vietnam's deteriorating human rights record and the existence of over 150 political prisoners have drawn attention, leading to the country being placed on the State Department's special watch list for religious freedom violations last year. In terms of broader regional ties, there has been slight disappointment regarding President Biden's decision to skip the Southeast Asian leaders gathering in Indonesia after attending the event in Cambodia last year. Nevertheless, the White House emphasizes its commitment to the region, highlighting the hosting of ASEAN member states at the White House by President Biden last year and the upgrade of the U.S.-ASEAN relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. This engagement with the region has been perceived as growing under the Biden administration, exemplified by the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework and efforts to strengthen relations with countries like the Philippines. While the United States holds an advantage over China in terms of soft power and popularity in most of Southeast Asia, China's economic influence remains paramount. A recent analysis suggests that China continues to be the primary economic power in the region, being the largest trading partner for all ASEAN member states and the largest investor in most of them. However, regional concerns regarding China's rhetoric and actions open avenues for the United States to enhance ties with Southeast Asian countries. To conclude, President Biden's visit to Vietnam holds immense significance in the broader context of countering China's influence and expanding ties with Southeast Asian nations. Vietnam's elevation to a comprehensive strategic partner serves as a diplomatic victory for the United States and reinforces its ability to forge key regional alliances. However, it is essential to recognize that the relationship between Vietnam and the United States encompasses multiple dimensions beyond the China factor, including economic, strategic, and shared interests. As the region continues to navigate complex dynamics, it is crucial to analyze and discuss the implications, inviting audiences to contribute their opinions on the topic. Topic number 3. A new world order emerges amidst U.S.-China rivalry's shadow. In the context of the U.S.-China rivalry, a new global order is gradually taking shape. The Leaders' Summit of the Group of 20 Major Economies, held in New Delhi, India, this weekend has received relatively muted expectations, partly due to the absence of Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Political differences within the diverse bloc persist, spanning a range of issues from climate change to conflicts such as the war in Ukraine. The potential absence of a formal joint declaration from the summit could be seen as a setback for Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who aspires to demonstrate India's growing influence on the world stage. The G20 played a significant role in lifting the global economy out of the severe financial crisis 14 years ago, forging understandings between Western powers and developing countries. However, the optimistic vision of a new world order and enhanced international cooperation has not materialized as expected. The full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia has further strained relations between the Kremlin and Western countries. Moreover, the unequal impact of the pandemic and climate change has exposed the stark inequities among nations. Western countries, disillusioned by the earlier wave of globalization, have increasingly leaned toward reactionary nationalist movements. Outside the Western sphere, liberal democracies, including India, struggle against the rise of the liberal, majoritarian ruling parties. The rivalry between the United States and China remains a prominent feature. While President Joe Biden expressed disappointment over Xi's absence in New Delhi, U.S. officials are likely to highlight how Washington can better support the development of low- and middle-income nations in the Global South during the forum. For the Biden administration, the summit serves as a backdrop for a broader geopolitical agenda. Biden's subsequent visit to Vietnam, where substantial cooperation agreements are expected to be announced, demonstrates the U.S. administration's efforts to seek strategic alliances in Asia as a counterbalance to China. Former Singaporean diplomat Kishore Mahbubani compares the intense courtship of India by the U.S. to the U.S.-China rapprochement in the 1970s, aimed at countering the Soviet Union. However, he suggests that the summit may not yield substantial outcomes, potentially resembling previous G7 meetings that primarily served as photo opportunities for world leaders. The G20 summit follows the recent BRICS summit held in South Africa, where Chinese President Xi Jinping was present. Beijing might regard BRICS, which excludes the United States and several top Western allies, as a more useful platform to further its international agenda. The planned expansion of BRICS membership next year raises questions about the continued relevance of the G20 as the primary forum for major developing powers. Mark Leonard, director of the European Council on Foreign Relations, explains that China aims to assume its place as a major power within a fragmented global order, rather than engaging in a direct confrontation against a U.S.-led bloc. This highlights a significant difference from the Cold War era, where superpowers had greater influence over other nations. Leonard also notes that the emergence of middle powers is reshaping global politics, allowing countries like South Korea, Niger, and the new BRICS members to prioritize their own goals and interests rather than pledging allegiance to superpowers. The increasing influence of middle powers signifies a shift towards a more fluid and individualized global order. Countries such as Kenya are adeptly engaging with regional and global powers on their own terms, establishing alliances and agreements with various actors, including the U.S., China, UK, and Iran. Kenya recently hosted an African summit on climate change, emphasizing the importance of addressing the continent's unique climate challenges and rectifying global lending structures that burden African economies with substantial debts. Prominent Bulgarian political scientist Ivan Krastev argues that the U.S.-China competition should not be the central focus, as it is unlikely to discipline the fragmentation of the global order, akin to the rivalry between Russia and America during the Cold War. While middle powers might not have the capacity to shape the international order as decisively, their ambition lies in increasing their relevance. Amidst this complex geopolitical landscape, a new world order is gradually taking shape, albeit with some confusion and disorder. It remains essential to consider diverse perspectives and opinions on these issues. We invite the audience to share their thoughts and perspectives on this topic in the comments section below.